afternoon and welcome back to Scientists in Action, live from NASA's Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex here in Florida. I'm Steve Lee, the Curator of Planetary Sciences at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, and I wanted to introduce my co-host, Becky Jaramillo. Becky is a fairly recently retired middle school science teacher, and she's now working with the National Institute of Aerospace. Becky will be helping us relay our questions that are going to be coming in over the internet. And we're here this week, of course, for the launch of MSL, the Mars Science Laboratory mission, which is carrying the rover Curiosity to the planet Mars. Just a few miles away from where we're sitting, there's a massive Atlas V rocket being prepared to send Curiosity on its way. Currently, launch is targeted for 10:02 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, just a few days after Thanksgiving. And I think all of the scientists and engineers that are here at Kennedy will certainly have a great deal of Thanksgiving to engage in once that rocket is off the pad. So just to refresh everyone's memory, our program is designed to bring questions from our audience, both live here in Florida, in museums across the country, and joining us on the internet, together with our guest experts on each segment. And on this program, I'm pleased to introduce Jane Jones. Jane is with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, and she's the senior outreach specialist on the Cassini mission to Saturn, but she's also very involved in missions to the other planets. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, everybody. Yes, great to be here, and I'm so glad that you're all here to learn about Mars Curiosity and to join with us in celebrating missions to the planets, to the solar system.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you interested in going down this path to tell other people about what's going on in the solar system?
Well, outreach is a part of every mission. And what we do is we get people like me who are really super enthusiastic and love to share that enthusiasm with audiences in many, many different ways. So I like to think of myself as almost like, or all of us in the outreach, as almost like a separate instrument on each spacecraft or each mission. And our job is to talk to you. Our job is to talk to you and communicate the excitement of the science, the beautiful pictures, the wiggly lines, but also kind of bring it back and bring it down to the people. And so that's my job. Mostly I work on the Cassini mission, which is for those of you who don't know, it's a mission that has been at Saturn for almost 8 years.
It's orbiting Saturn.
It's orbiting Saturn. It has 12 instruments on it. It has cameras. It has things that smell the atmosphere or the plasma, the environment around the planet. It takes fabulous, fabulous pictures. And what I do is to share that with our audiences by putting material on the websites, by explaining things in nice, easy to understand language, and give lots of talks and visit schools and classrooms and so forth.
Great.
Plus, I'm an amateur astronomer, so.
That helps.
Yeah.
So it looks like you brought some guests with you today.
I always like to come, when I come here to launches or to any special event where people are sharing and kind of getting excited about NASA. I like to bring little souvenirs to hand out, not to all the big fans, but maybe to the little kid who comes and asks a question, or to the person at the hotel who has an 8-year-old son. So I went to the JPL store just 2 days ago, and I brought a lunchbox that has the Mars Exploration Rover. These are the Spirit and Opportunity rovers that are on Mars now. So I needed a lunchbox to bring my lunch here. And so that's kind of my prop. And then I found this cute little bear with a lab coat on. And this is a woman scientist. So when I'm carrying my little bear around, I'm saying this lab coat. This is a girl. This is a girl bear who wants to study about Mars. So that's just kind of my entree to get kids to kind of come up and ask me questions. And then if they ask me a really good question, they might get one of these pins.
It's a great, great attraction for
Another
kids.
thing that a lot of people, in fact 1.2 million people sent their names to a website, and those names are on board the Curiosity Rover right now that'll be launching this week. And I am one of those people who sent my name in, as I do, and I brought a t-shirt to wear showing my certificate that is saying that I have my name on this rover, and when it lands on Mars, I'm going to be part of that. And so are 1.2 million people in like 100 different countries. So those are my show and tells.
It's a great opportunity for folks to actually feel like they're
You feel like you own these missions when you read about them and you participate here, and we do own it. It is our mission.
My name went to Mars, going to Mars as well.
Mine
Steve,
too.
did yours too?
Yes.
Yeah. It's important to us too, so.
So Becky, I imagine we have lots of folks wanting to chat with James.
We do, and one of the first questions is, as an amateur astronomer, Jane, can you tell us where can we find Mars in the sky?
That's a great question. And I bet a lot of the people in the museum audiences are, you probably do some astronomy events at the museum, as do museums all over the country and amateur astronomy clubs. And between now and when the rover lands on Mars, Mars is visible in our sky. And so I'm going to tell you where to look for it now. And you can look to the east right now at, in November. We have to wait till about 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. Look for the Big Dipper. Most people can find the Big Dipper. Just look a little bit east or a little bit to the left, to the right of the Big Dipper, and you should see a red star, and you should see a little white star next to it. And the white star isn't Mars. The white star is the heart of Leo the Lion constellation, which you might not be able to see, but you will be able to see the big contrast between the red Mars and the white star. And that'll be the view you'll have this month and next month. And then as we get closer to Mars opposition, that's the point when Mars is closest to the Earth in its orbit around the Sun, which is why we launch at these times, so that we get that good geometry. Mars will be visible earlier and earlier and earlier, and there'll be lots and lots of chances to see it next to the Moon or some other anchor. And in August, when Curiosity is landing on Mars, you'll be able to see Mars just before sunset, or right after sunset, low in the western sky with Saturn. And so that's pretty cool. So these are things you can see from the most light polluted city. I live in Los Angeles. I go out and look at Mars and Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter is straight overhead. You can't miss it.
Lots of things if you just can go out and look up.
Yep. Find your museum, find your local astronomy club, and say, hey, show me Mars.
Becky, who do we have next?
Well, you just answered the next question, that I live in a city that has lots of lights. Can I still see it? So, and you said, yes, you can. So, so that's good.
And of course, if they have a planetarium nearby,
Right.
you can get a very good view, even though it's an artificial view, but it certainly shows you where you could see it, what it would look like.
Now, when you do look at Mars through a telescope, it's not going to look like the pictures that you see from, well, you're going to see a tiny little round ball, and you might be able to see a little bit of ice on the pole, and you might be able to see a little bit of dark markings. Some of the surfaces of Mars aren't just the super red color, but they're more of a kind of a dark brown. And so some of those areas you can actually see through very modest telescopes. Just find that amateur astronomer to be your tour guide.
Becky?
Well, that's a good lead in for the next one, because they want to know, how can I find what's in the sky in my area so I can help identify it for my children?
Oh, well, there's lots of ways. One of which is I do a monthly video, what's up in the night sky, and each month that will tell you where to look to see the things that you don't need to go to a dark place to view. So it will always tell you where to find the planets. And it always ties into a planet that has a mission. So for last year and all of 2011 and half of 2012, we have what we call the Year of the Solar System in NASA's Planetary Science Division. And what we do is we pick a theme each month. This month it just happens to be MSL, the Mars Science Laboratory with the rover, Curiosity, is the mission that's focused. Jupiter is kind of the main planet that you can see right now, but I snuck in Mars because you can see it, and so that's one way. There's astronomy magazines that you can buy at the grocery store. Every single planetarium and museum will have, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of them have star guides, or they do planetarium shows each month that will highlight what's up in the night sky. You know, what's up is, I mean, it's just look up and see it. So that's how you can learn. It's also in the newspaper. I mean, there's tons of ways. Two questions from the
I think we
audience.
have some folks here.
I remember Phoenix had a tough time getting the soil sample through its screen. In fact, it was impossible, as I remember. Now, how will Curiosity solve that problem and make sure it doesn't happen there?
So if I could take a stab at that, I think the question was one of our earlier missions, the Phoenix mission, which landed near the North Pole of Mars. It had a sample scoop that would pick up soil, and then it would sort of shake it, and there was a little screen to filter that before it went into the instruments.
And they clumped.
So the soil was very clumpy, sort of sticky, and it clogged it up. I think the way that Curiosity is going to get around that is it has a little drill that will drill into the rocks and pull out something like the diameter of a pencil lead, very tiny, and it actually can grind that material up, and then it sorts it, and it actually drops it into the instrument. So we're not just picking up soil samples, we're actually getting things from inside the rocks. And I think we have one more question here in Florida.
Yeah, hi, I'm Cindy with the Tweet Up, and I'm interested, because I work in outreach too, what do you find are the biggest mythologies about NASA or space exploration?
What's the
Excuse
biggest?
me, would you repeat the question?
Yes.
We can't hear it.
Sorry, what do you find in outreach are the biggest mythologies that you have to, or misconceptions that you have to answer?
What are the biggest misconceptions? Oh, you know, every time there's, to me, you'll probably have a different answer, but every time there's an asteroid or something that's kind of come close to the Earth, people freak out and are so afraid that we're all gonna die. We're going to get hit by some little tiny roving piece of rock that is as far away from here to the moon or farther. And it seems like that just permeates, no matter what mission, what outreach area. It's kind of the UFO and those kind of paranormal seems to be just a lot of people just don't want to ask questions and don't want to use the scientific method and say, how could that happen? Or, you know, they just won't listen. So what I do when I get those kind of calls, like there's a planet hiding somewhere, I'll say, well, I know that that's Venus, and if you go out tomorrow night and you look, you'll see, call me back and tell me if the moon is right next to your UFO. And so what I do is I try to turn it around and make them do a scientific experiment, but not making fun of them. I do it as politely as I can and say, you know, let's go out and you prove this for yourself. And I swear, 9 times out of 10, those people call me back or send me an email and say, thank you, I had no idea I was seeing a planet. And so I think part of it is respecting the people's myths, if you will, and trying to answer them in a way that is respectful, but teaches them a little lesson.
You sort of empower people by
Yeah.
giving them some knowledge,
Yeah.
and then they can
Yeah.
follow down the path of what that knowledge
Yeah, it's very rewarding when somebody asks you a pretty wacky question and they come back and say thank you, and they feel like I just told that to my email list my UFO email list, or whatever. So that's what I do, is I just try to be polite and smart in my replies.
Well, unfortunately, Jane, we're out of time for this half hour, so I'm going to thank Jane Jones again for being with us, and please log on to her What's Up
What's up in the night
website.
sky, and learn all about where to see Mars and Jupiter this month.
Well, thanks
Thank you.
again. And I just want to remind folks that this program is made possible by a partnership between NASA, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, the Virginia Air and Space Center, and the National Institute of Aerospace. And we're going to take just a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Dr. Jim Green, the Director of the Planetary Science Division from NASA headquarters. So please join us again, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
One more question.
Sure.
What's the surface speed of Curiosity?
The surface speed?
And has the engineers designed a way to lose it?
You mean